Well, good afternoon again, everyone. John Johnson here with Just a Thought. Ludwig van Beethoven composed his ninth and last symphony between autumn of 1822 and February 1824. By this time, he was almost completely deaf. So deaf, in fact, that it is speculated in music history that he sawed the legs off his piano and lay on the floor so he could feel the vibrations of the notes as he composed. The ninth was groundbreaking in many ways, especially since it's the very first example of a major composer using vocal parts for soloists and a chorus in a symphony. The piece was premiered in Vienna on May 7th, 1824. Since by this time Beethoven was, in all practical terms, completely deaf, his conducting on stage was supplemented by Michael Umlauf, with various recollections of Beethoven's actual role in the direction of the orchestra. The piece was well received by an enthusiastic audience that interrupted the piece several times with boisterous applause. At the conclusion of the symphony, after the glorious choral Ode to Joy, the audience leaped to its feet, throwing handkerchiefs, hats, and gloves into the air. Since Beethoven could not hear the uproarious applause and see the response of the audience, Caroline Unger, the contralto singer, walked to the podium and turned Beethoven around to see the audience response through 5 curtain calls. You know, my friends, disabilities take many forms. Not all are physical. Some are emotional or relational or even situational. So, what disability have you in your life that you are allowing to limit what you can do for God and His kingdom? You know, Beethoven is an example of someone who stopped considering his disability to be a limitation on what he could accomplish. You know, what we consider to be a disability might just prove instead to be God's opportunity to reveal a new possibility for His strength to be perfected in our weakness. That sort of sounds like the Apostle Paul's great confession in 2 Corinthians 12, 9 and 10. Paul said, "But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weaknesses, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong." Disability? My friend, not a chance. Look instead inside for God's possibility. It might just change the way you look at yourself, and especially the way you see the world and the opportunities around you. John Johnson here, and for Sunday, June 15th, that's just a thought.